United States President Donald Trump has announced a complete and total ceasefire between Israel and Iran, set to be phased in over the next 24 hours after a frenetic day of conflict in the region. Israel and Iran have yet to comment on Trump's announcement. The announcement follows an attack on U.S. forces at Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar on Monday, after Tehran said it would retaliate for the U.S. strikes on Iranian nuclear sites, with the Qatari authorities saying missiles were successfully intercepted. On the assumption that everything works as it should, which it will, I would like to congratulate both countries, Israel and Iran, on having the stamina, courage, and intelligence to end what should be called the 12-day war, Trump wrote on his Truth Social site. U.S. military officials said that Al Udeid Air Base was the only U.S. military base targeted by Iran, according to the Reuters news agency. The officials confirmed that there had been no impact on the base just outside Qatar's capital, Doha. A U.S. defense official added that Al Udeid Air Base was attacked by short-range and medium-range ballistic missiles originating from Iran today. At this time, there are no reports of U.S. casualties. We are monitoring this situation closely and will provide more information as it becomes available, the official said. Following the attack, Iranian Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei said in a post X that we have not violated anyone's rights, and we will not under any circumstances accept any violation against us, nor will we surrender to anyone's aggression. This is the logic of the Iranian nation. Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi later added that the country is ready to respond again if the U.S. takes any further action, according to a statement posted on Telegram. United States President Donald Trump said Iran had a very weak response and thanked the country's leadership for providing early notice of the retaliatory attack. I am pleased to report that no Americans were harmed and hardly any damage was done, Trump posted on Truth Social. Most importantly, they've gotten it all out of their system, and there will, hopefully, be no further hate. I want to thank Iran for giving us early notice, which made it possible for no lives to be lost and nobody to be injured. Qatar condemns attacks. Flares were visible over Qatar's capital, Doha, on Monday. It was initially not immediately known if this was the air defense system or missiles. Loud explosions were also heard, although so far no injuries have been reported. Qatar's Ministry of Defense says its air defense systems successfully intercepted missiles targeting Al Udeid Air Base. In a statement, the ministry said the incident resulted in no deaths or injuries, crediting the vigilance of the armed forces and precautionary measures taken. Qatar has confirmed that a total of 19 missiles were fired from Iran. It added that only one of those hit Al Udeid Air Base but caused no casualties. Reporting from Tehran, Al Jazeera's Tawhid Asadi says it's still uncertain whether Iran's latest strikes mark the end of its response to U.S. attacks on its nuclear facilities. Whether this will be the final attack, or if more are to come, is still unclear, he said. From Tehran's perspective, there may be a sense that the situation is now balanced. But Iran also views this as part of a larger, ongoing confrontation, Asadi added. The Iranians claim that not only the U.S., but also European countries, are supplying Israel with the infrastructure and weaponry used to strike Iranian targets. So, from Iran's point of view, it is part of an ongoing battle in which it is being targeted on a daily basis, he said. Iran's Supreme National Security Council said that the missile strike against the Al Udeid Air Base was far away from residential areas in Qatar. This action does not pose any threat to the friendly and brotherly country, Qatar, and its noble people, and the Islamic Republic of Iran remains committed to maintaining and continuing warm and historic relations with Qatar, the council said in a statement. Iran and Qatar enjoy fraternal relations, and the Qatari government has condemned both the Israeli and U.S. attacks on Iran. Qatar, nevertheless, condemned the attack as a blatant violation of its sovereignty. Al Jazeera's correspondent Dorsa Jabari, reporting from Doha following the Iranian attack, said, "People here have never experienced this kind of environment, so it was certainly a very dramatic experience. But it's important to understand that this was not intended to harm the civilian population, but it was a clear message to the U.S. government and military that Iran has the capability to launch direct attacks on U.S. military personnel in the Middle East," added Jabari. Marwan Bashara, Al Jazeera's senior political analyst, said the war in Gaza is setting a lot of precedents in the region and wider international relations. Some of them are very reminiscent of the things that happened in the past, he said, adding that this was the first time Iran targeted a U.S. base outside Iraq. It is also new the way the U.S. attacked Iran and the way Israel preventively attacked Iran in its war of choice, Bashara said. He added that rapid developments in the widening conflict show that Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is both manipulating the U.S. and taking the entire region to an unknown as an indicted criminal. U.S. on Iran's retaliation. Al Jazeera's correspondent, Kimberly Hockett, reporting from Washington, D.C., said that Trump was in the Situation Room of the White House. Initially, his national security briefing had been scheduled for the Oval Office, but it was moved due to these developments involving attacks on U.S. bases, specifically in Qatar. We also know that in advance of the attack on Al Udeid Air Base, which is the headquarters of the Central Command, the largest installation in the region, there was an evacuation of the major infrastructure in terms of the aircraft, said Hockett. What we know is that the Pentagon right now, even if it's on high alert, is not tracking any other potential attacks in any other bases. This was localized to Qatar, added Hockett. Reports from the White House indicated that the Iranian attack on the air base appears to have been calibrated to mirror the U.S. strike in terms of the number of missiles used. The embassies of the U.S. and United Kingdom in Qatar had earlier released statements recommending that citizens in Qatar shelter in place until further notice. Qatar said it shut down its airspace temporarily as part of the measures taken to ensure the safety of residents and visitors, though it has since reopened its airspace. The countries with the most U.S. troops include Qatar, Bahrain, Kuwait, the United Arab Emirates, and Saudi Arabia. These installations serve as critical hubs for air and naval operations, regional logistics, intelligence gathering, and force projection. Other Gulf countries, including Kuwait, Oman, Bahrain, and the UAE, initially closed their airspace. Since then, they have all reopened. Al Udeid is the largest U.S. military base in the Middle East, established in 1996. Covering an area of 24 hectares, 60 acres, the base accommodates almost 100 aircraft as well as drones. This base, which houses some 10,000 troops, serves as the forward headquarters for U.S. Central Command, CENTCOM, and has been central to operations in Iraq, Syria, and Afghanistan.